see what that group or that friend is consuming. Because if they're not consuming the right stuff, you need to avoid them. See if they're influencing you to do the wrong things. If they're influencing you to go party all day, maybe to go smoke all day, do anything that's wild or anything that's against your own personal moral value, then you need to distance yourself away. Welcome to the podcast. Today we're just going to be talking about how to communicate with the right people and know if you're around the right people. So these signs are just going to be based off my experiences of how I've been through with interacting with other people, knowing other people. And this inspiration has really came from a recent situation as this recording where I was with a group of people that were being quite negative to another person. And in a way, it wasn't really them being negative, but it was more of like criticism with also sometimes conflicting truth or conflicting lies being combined. But that's already over and done with as this recording, and it died down. But let's get into the video. So how to know if you're around the right people is you have to avoid the red flags. Avoiding the red flags mean that usually it can be them being passive aggressive, or usually they're having favoritism. But to dissect those two, because those are the main key factors there of avoiding the red flags, is if they are being passive aggressive, watch it. Be aware. Sometimes those passive aggressive people can be even the worst ones, because if they constantly put their head down when they see you, or they tend to stutter or not look at you in the eye, then that's somebody you need to be around, because that just shows you that they're not really being a good person. Favoritism also. Favoritism is really a bad thing. You sitting there trying to help the other friend that you feel good is, but you don't want to help that one that you don't really care for that much. That's kind of wrong. You shouldn't really put favoritism in there. Favoritism is really wrong. I don't care how much you say that, oh, well, life this, life that. I don't care what life is. There shouldn't be no favoritism. It should always be everybody gets the equal opportunity, because everybody has a chance to succeed. Everybody has a chance to fail. Everybody has a chance to stay still and don't do nothing. Bullying others, teasing others is terrible. Why don't you help each other instead of tear each other down? Because for me personally, I'm human, I make my mistakes, but I want to see the betterment in people. The next one is also see what they consume. And I'll speak here from a man's perspective. Let's go to my gentleman right here who's listening. If you're being friends with the right group of men, or right group of guys, or right group of boys if you're a teenager, see what they consume. If they consume twerk videos and XYZ and all these things, they're not people to be around most of the time. But sometimes they can be good people and just be addicted to those content. If they're people that actually watch self-development, watch workout videos, watch things that can help them do better, some entertainment that's more of like a laughter, of like somebody maybe streaming, I guess. Maybe somebody maybe making a little comedy skit, XYZ. That's more better to laugh at than a twerk video. But to get to the point here, see what they consume. And vice versa, not just us gents, but from speaking from both a universal perspective here, ladies, young ladies, men, young men, see what they're all consuming. Because this generation here, which is my generation, and somewhat of millennials too, and future generations after my one, which is Gen Z, has now gotten consumed in this digital era. This digital era of TikTok and Instagram and XYZ has now got everybody so trapped, and they're not looking to reality. They're not looking to do nothing good, but to just stay at home and stay stuck all the way in their phone and do nothing about it. And that's not a life to live. That's not a good life to live. Just consuming the wrong content. Then you wonder why you're doing the bad things, because you're consuming the bad content, the bad music, the bad stuff. Find the right sources, the right more music, the right content, the right resources. And then your attitude can change up, and then you can be a good friend to someone else. But back to what I was saying here from the start, see what that group or that friend is consuming. Because if they're not consuming the right stuff, you need to avoid them. See if they're influencing you to do the wrong things. If they're influencing you to go party all day, maybe to go smoke all day, do anything that's wild or anything that's against your own personal moral value, then you need to distance yourself away, or just tell them straight up, hey man, I don't do that, or hey girl, I don't do that. Because if they don't listen to you, they're not trying to understand you, then you need to reshift your focus and go away from them and go somewhere else. The next one is if they're not backing you up. If they're not backing you up and they're just sitting there degrading you, being derogatory and everything, they're not good. Because most friends will back up their friends no matter what. Not try to be afraid or not try to stand up to another person and don't help your real friend, but you can help the person that actually use you. Because that's the problem nowadays with friendships too now. Even back then, but it's worse now. People will be around people that treat them negative more than people that treat them positive. People that really be good to you, you take them for advantage. But the people that you know don't be bad, don't do right to you, you be around them so you can get that good feeling of feeling like you're fitting in, you're being cool. When in reality, the one you treated so wrongly, that good positive friend, was actually the good one. Then when you lose them, you'll be crying. But you don't need to cry or be sad. You cause it on yourself. Because at the end of the day, that person who was positive, they got an easy W by just avoiding you because you didn't want to change. Speaking of that, that's the last one. Criticism. Criticism is the main thing. If you really want to know if you're communicating with the right people, it's criticism. They'll tell you what you're doing, and they won't criticize you in a way where like, oh, you're bad or bad. They're going to criticize you in a way where you're bad, but it's going to come out with a good outcome. Because see, some people may say, well, I'm telling you not to do this, I'm telling you not to do this, but sometimes they can influence you the wrong way. But some people who give you good criticism can influence you the right way. Like maybe you need to practice a little more, or practice a little more. Maybe you might do this a little more, do this a little more. Maybe you might need to change this and do that. Change it and do that, as long as it's going the right route and you're doing nothing negative. Keep going. If they're really sitting there trying to tell you the right thing, listen to what they're saying and sit down with them and listen. I hope you got something from this, and have a good day.